card. Any card. That card, you say? Is this your card, sir? It's the magic phase. Yes, everyone's favourite section, which is no longer actually a phase. So, Warhammer Almanack this week, the Old World Almanack, have released rules for magic, and we get a glimpse of a few different little things that arise from this. But let me say this first. Blimey, that's a lot of universal special rules. They're going to cover it in more detail next week, and I'll be back next week to talk to you about that. But first, what we then have now is a summary of how magic works in Warhammer The Old World. We knew it wasn't going to be its own distinct phase anymore. We've got 4 phases with 4 sub-phases, and 4 nano-phases, and 4 micro-phases, and quasi-phases, or whatever. Magic phase does not count anymore. It is now part and parcel of the other 4 phases. We knew that. We knew this. What we did not know was how exactly magic would work. Would it work? Like my all-time favourite session with the Winds of Magic card? No. Sorry guys, back to 5th edition you go. Would it work like 6th edition with pools of carefully nurtured dice pools? No. No, it would seem that magic now is simply point and click. Magic, you go, okay, I want to cast this spell. Oh, okay. Roll 2d6 and add your magic level. Did you successfully beat the spell's casting value? You cast the spell! And everyone rejoices. But wait, I want to dispel the spell. Do you have a wizard? Yes, I have a wizard. Okay, well then you can try and dispel the spell. Roll 2d6 and add your magic level. Did you roll more than I did? No, I didn't. Then I get to cast my spell. I don't have a wizard. That's not a problem. You can still, once per turn, try to dispel. It's just a straight 2d6 roll with no added shenanigans, and good luck when you're fighting against high elves with multiple level 4 mages who just cackle maniacally as they add 4 to their 2d6 and now don't have other crazy stuff that gives them universal special rules that gives them extra bonuses. It is now a straight 2d6 roll and add your magic level. I'm a little disappointed, to be honest. I know normally arm-waving excitement is my thing. I am a little disappointed. I was hoping for a bit more. I mean, I'm not going to pass judgment until I've played it, but it being literally just, I've got a wizard, I roll some dice, and because I'm a level 4 wizard, I get to add 4, which, given the casting value of this spell is 7, means I'm almost certainly casting this, short of rolling a double 1 and rolling insufficient power or something like that. A miscast for that. Total power was right there for overwhelming success, or whatever the hell they've called it now. Yeah, I'm a little underwhelmed, but let's see how it plays out. What I'm more excited by from this week's Old World Almanack is some of the stuff that it revealed. So, we saw a mount. We saw a damsel. Yeah, a very pretty damsel model, and she comes as base level 1 or base level 3, and for 30 points she can go to level 2, and for another 30 points she can go to level 4, which frankly seems very cheap. I mean, to go from level 1 to level 2, great, but to go from level 3 to level 4, wow! But on the other hand, I suppose if all it gives you is an extra +1 to your casting level, or maybe it gives you the extra number of spells. We don't know how many spells each wizard gets. That's something they did not cover this week. But what they did cover is mounts, and I think this is really cool. So this is a mount, now functions pretty much like it did. Scrabbles behind him. In 3rd, wrong side round, in 3rd, and 4th edition 40k. A mount now adds to your stats and special rules rather than being its own kind of unique thing. It gives you an extra wound rather than being something which has its own wounds that can be chipped away. It gives you extra attacks at its own strength with its own universal special rules, rather than it being, again, a wholly separate creature that fights on its own. It's fighting on its own, but not fighting on its own. It's a quasi-creature. But I think it's kind of interesting, therefore, that a mount really is just a stat upgrade. It's an extra couple of attacks, and it's an extra batch of special rules. On the subject of which, can we just touch on universal special rules? I am a bear of relatively limited brain. And when I looked at how many universal special rules the damsel had, and then when you add on all the universal special rules that her unicorn comes with, she ends up with 13 universal special rules. I mean, that feels like a little bit overkill. Like, I'm going to be sat there going, okay, so what's your general got? He's got these magic items, these universal special rules, his mount's got these universal special rules, the army's got universal special rules. I'm going to need a crib sheet just for each model. Ay, ay, ay. In terms of the universal special rules that it detailed itself, some of them we can guess what they do. So, for example, the unicorn's armor-piercing 2 horn attacks do, I'm guessing, an extra 2 points of armor penetration. Makes sense. Its toughened hide bonus to her save, I'm guessing, is the equivalent of barding, or maybe it's the equivalent of being mounted. We'll see how that pans out when they talk about what universal special rules a unit of Grail Knights gets in next week's Old World Almanack. The magic resistance one, I mean, that makes abundant sense. You try and cast a spell at her, and I'm guessing her and any unit she's in get an extra 2 dice worth of dispel, which presumably balances out the, you know, multiple level 4 High Elf Mage Lords that are going to be coming in at you at rapid pace. The other universal special rules are a little bit more confusing. So, I mean, we knew what the Swift Stride thing did. That's already been covered. Because it's a 4-legged creature, it gets an extra dice worth of charge and stuff, and therefore gets to move faster. We covered that back in the movement section. Stuff like its beguiling aura and her, like, mystifying allure and the lure of the lady, we'll find out, I guess. And this is where I start to get worried about universal special rule creep. 6th edition had about the right number of special rules for me. I think if you can't fit your universal special rules on like 3, at most 4 pages, you're probably asking them to do too much heavy lifting for the game, and maybe you need to ask yourself, does the game need this many universal special rules to make it functional? If it does, well, fine, but then I think maybe you're overcomplicating things. But this is a video about magic, so let's talk about that some more. We had some sample spells, and we got an idea of what the core spell laws are. So much like we had the Colleges of Magic spell laws in 6th edition, and we had in the kind of 5th edition and 4th edition Magic, we had the college rules in that as well, but also other shenanigan-y types of magic spells. In this, then, we know that the Colleges of Magic have not been formed yet. We knew that because Magnus the Pious hasn't formed them yet. What we therefore have is battle magic, and then we have a variety of other different magics, such as illusion, or necromancy, or the law of the elements. So to represent different aspects, I guess, from different armies, whether those will be entirely the only sort of laws of magic we get. Oh, Orc and Goblin, war magic, of course, can't forget the war magic! But whether those will be the only laws of magic we get, or whether they will be additional ones introduced as other books come in, for example, Chaos. I mean, at the moment I don't see anything other than dark magic for Chaos, and I would hope that there would be the law of Tzeentch, law of Slaanesh, law of Nurgle, at the very least. High magic is in there, but for example, we don't have a very distinct kind of Wood Elf one, aside from kind of the elemental magic. Necromantic magic is in there, but I'm assuming we're not talking vampire counts here, so does that mean that Tomb Kings are using necromancy, specifically stated as necromancy, rather than reading from scrolls like we had in their earlier edition? We don't know this. What we do know, though, is we have 3 example spells in this. One is a close combat spell, so this one is one that a damsel can cast while she's in base-to-base contact with another unit. Again, actually, it seems as though, because of her weird universal special rule of I can sit in the back of units, which they had in previous editions of the Bretonnian Army book in 6th edition, 7th edition, but she, as long as her unit is in base contact with somebody, it would seem that she can cast this spell as if she herself was in contact, and the magic just kind of seeps through osmosis into the front rank, I guess, and causes 2d3 strength 4 hits with a -2 armor save modifier. Great, groovy, okay. The other 2 spells that we've got there, then, there is one of them is a buff, essentially something that makes an enemy unit, makes it harder for enemy units to hit you, has a glamour over them to make them more illusionary to see, and some enemy units are at -1 to hit them, which is, I guess, kind of useful. And the other one is a hex that targets specifically an enemy unit, giving them -1 to their movement and -1 to their initiative. So again, I guess, slowing down their ability to move, slowing down their ability to fight first, because of course now fights are determined entirely in initiative order, which is important. What I worry, though, is that the way these spells portray are very much making magic all about buffing up units, making units more tough, reducing units, almost like, I use a dirty word here, stratagems. It is a little bit like turning the magic phase into a set of stratagems from 8th, 9th, 10th edition 40k, just with a dice roll to cast them rather than having to keep track of command points. I don't know. It's not the wild and zany hijinks of desperately hoping for the total power card that we got in 5th edition. It's not the careful resource management game of managing your dispel dice and your power dice and trying to bluff your opponent into whether or not you've got more spells you want to cast, so you lure up their dispel dice, or whether bluffing an opponent that you've got plans that you're going to hold back and target a particular spell with dispel dice. Okay, I cast a spell and it makes my unit better. I cast this spell and it makes your unit worse. I dispel your spell. I cast that unit spell and unit over there takes mortal wounds, except we're not calling it that. Yeah, we'll see. This is only a sampling of the Magic Phase. We don't have the full Magic Phase rules. We don't have all the spell laws. It could be great. One final thing that I noticed is magic items. Damsel can have at level 1, level 2, so what we're assuming is hero level, up to 50 points of magic items. Level 3, level 4, what we're assuming is Lord level, 100 points of magic items. So that pretty much confirms that instead of going for the 4th and 5th edition, you can have a number of magic items equal to the level you are, so 2 magic items, 3 magic items. Instead, we are going back to the 6th, 7th, 8th edition. You can have X number of points worth of magic items. Which, yeah, I mean, it was going to go one of two ways, to be honest, and I don't know if I have a strong feeling which way it went. Let me know in the comments which you would have preferred. That's my thoughts on this week's Old World Almanack. Come back on Friday for more old hammery goodness from me. In the meantime, thank you very much for watching, and I will catch you next time. Bye for now.